Hello, welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey and its Sunday conversations. Hope everybody is doing all right out there tonight and that you've had a good weekend. Joining me as always is Jackie. Iron Dogger, how are you doing?
Good, very good. It's Iron Dog Week, so I'm really excited.
You're following them, aren't you? You're following
Oh
the
yeah,
GPS
every moment.
pings of these
Refresh,
racers.
refresh.
Location. Um, and joining us tonight, we've got a great guest. Not been on for a while, but and you've changed your channel, but we'll get into that. But it's Lee McNew. How you doing, Lee?
Doing good. How are you, Daniela?
Doing very well. Caught you very early this morning doing a live. I think it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and I
Oh yeah,
clicked on. I thought, hey, what's going on here? And you were like on a marathon live
six
stream.
6 hours.
That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah,
Pretty good. Pretty
yeah.
dedicated, I think, to be doing it for 6 hours. I'd have been well into the land and nod. But you've you've had a channel for a while.
Hmm.
You changed it recently. You're calling it now the Ravens Outpost.
Right.
You have been into Sasquatch. You are into Sasquatch, aren't you? I mean, you
I am, but
and
that's here's the thing.
crossover.
Yeah, I well, everything started with me with the paranormal early, right? And after a while, I started that channel. It was Cryptids, Myths, and Mysteries when I first started it, and it was more or less just a personal vlog for me. And then I started getting followers, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with this? So I'll just go ahead and see if I can get some evidence, right? And I'm boots on the ground. I'm in the woods, and I'm collecting evidence, right? And there's some certain things that fell in line, and it was just for me. After a while, I'm like, okay, I personally know what I need to know. This Bigfoot is the only thing that I ever need personal validation for. Every other paranormal event that happened to me, almost every other, I've had someone with me when it happened. So, I mean, there was no reason for me to feel like I was losing my mind or anything. That was the only thing. And once I found that, I kind of almost lost my purpose for the channel. But there were so many people, even though I've got a small channel, there were so many people there that tuned in on a regular basis. I'm like, well, I need to do something here, and Cryptids, Myths, and Mysteries just isn't going to cut it. I need to change things up, and I need to get back to my roots. And paranormal was where it was at, and I thought long and hard about it because at one point, actually, I was going to just give up on the channel altogether. And now I'm glad I didn't because I needed that channel about as bad as anybody else did. And I'm thinking, well, what can I do? What am I going to do? What is this channel going to be about? And I'm like raising awareness and helping people, tell their story that needs to give them a place, a safe harbor that they can feel free without fear of any type of judgment at all to tell their story for whatever it is, whether it's Bigfoot sightings, whether it's interactions with ghosts, phenomena, or UFOs. Anything that covers that broad spectrum or that umbrella that I call the paranormal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I said, well, you need to just go ahead and change the name of it. And I went back to Norse mythology. It was just random, just goofing around on the internet. I'm like, okay, it's stuck with me. Odin and his ravens, right? And so the raven stuck. So the Ravens Outpost was born.
Excellent. Well, I bet you're glad you never gave up your channel because, even you say, you've got small numbers, but actually those first few numbers are like your most dedicated people, the ones
Oh,
that stick
yes.
with you, the ones that want to be there. And, I'm a big believer in letting things grow organically. And, it's very easy just to drum up a load of subscribers, but
Mm-hmm.
not have their loyalty.
Right.
So much more important that you do get to interact with with your subscriibers. That's what it's
Absolutely.
all about, and I'd rather, it's great that you have your channel and you kept doing it because it will have been important to those that subscribed it to you. That's not even a word. Is it?
No, but you're absolutely right though, because I do have people that will show up, and there was a little while, Ray and Rick the Purple Hobbit. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, a long
Yeah.
time ago I used to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Rick and Ray Dahl.
Yeah.
Eric and Ray have stuck with me through the whole time I've been doing this, and especially when it was just I'd do a live stream, and it would just be the two of us. How many people we've got in chat? Well, it's just there's Ray now.
Stalkers of subscribers. You know, it's a fine line, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah, her and Rick are my OGs, man. They've
Excellent.
stuck with me, and they give me. They've been my support system, really, and it gives me the courage to get out here and try to help other people, and that's what Ravens Outpost is all about. And I do believe I've actually connected with a few people that, you know, I've for whatever reason, I've given them the courage to come forward and tell their story, and that makes me feel good. I don't really care about the numbers and all that if I'm getting out there and I'm reaching people and they're actually feeling comfortable about getting all this stuff off their chest, because it does something to your psyche. I've seen it through so many people. I mean, Carrie included. You know what it did to him, and so many others. And I know there's more people out there that have a story to tell for their own mental benefit, and for maybe it could help someone else. Maybe there's someone else out there who's going through the same thing, or something similar, you know, and it would maybe that person would give that other person a little bit of courage to tell their story and maybe help somebody else. That's what I'm doing it for.
That's really good, because a lot of people need to share, you know, and not everybody feels comfortable on the same, you know, spots. And,
Right.
you know, a lot of times it's really good to have, you know, all these different, not all these, but there's quite, you know, a few safe spots for people to come and share. And when you have something that's open with a broad range like that, it makes it even more of an enjoyable environment for people to come and feel like they're amongst, you know, others who will understand and not ridicule them, you know.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that channel you saw me on this morning, tarot tuber Chrissy. She's fantastic. And Laura, her partner, they started this channel together, and she says it was coming to my channel and talking to me that gave her the courage to keep going forward. And she's got, yes. Yeah.
So
Love you, Chrissy.
Was I not on your channel this morning then?
No, that was Chrissy's.
I have no idea how I just turned on YouTube, you know.
I was going to ask you how that happened, and you know,
it came up on YouTube.
that.
It's weird, isn't it?
That's a synchronicity. That's a fantastic synchronicity. And it tells me that there's something out here that's wanting to get us out there. Chrissy has got some of the best orb activity that's caught on film, on camera, that I've seen in a long time. If anybody wants to see it, they can check out her channel, Chrissy, Tarot Tuber Chrissy on YouTube. And it's her place of business upstairs, and it's an intelligent haunting. You can see the orbs. There are two orbs. It's like one on top of the other, like my fingers right here, and they're just moving around, and they're moving around the room, and it's not random. You would think so at first, but after a while, you can see that there's no distinct pattern. It looks like it's just roaming around. There's one video in particular where you can really tell it. Chrissy and her boyfriend enter a room, right? They enter that room, and you could see that it's almost like it hears them coming and moves away. And it kind of moves around to where when her boyfriend enters the room first, and it's like this right up next to him and moving around, and he moves and it moves behind him. Now she's got an app on her phone where she's actually being able to see what's going on live in that room for the security camera.
Oh, okay.
So everything is in infrared. You know, you see it's in black and white. And she's walking along. She's got the phone in her hand. She's like, oh, it's right in front of me. And she reaches out to touch it, and it moves.
Oh, dear.
It moves around her. It is fantastic. I'm telling you. And there's a couple other things. I won't give it away. Just go ahead and check out her channel. She does her Laura Fowler is her partner in this, and Laura's got her own channel. They do live streams. That one she's decided to keep up, I guess, from last night, and she normally privatizes all of them, but I guess she's got courage enough to leave things up, because we had a real good connection last night. It was great, and it was like a bunch of friends getting together, and it's the reason why we went so long. We really actually lost track of time. And
Well,
we're talking, yeah.
Yeah, the conversation gets good, doesn't it? The more you relax as well.
Oh yeah.
The better the flow becomes. When you're doing something like within an hour, you'd be quite restricted. But I mean, I always say that you like the after talks when you turn off the broadcast and you chat afterwards. Sometimes that's the best conversation. So I guess it's something like that. I'm definitely going to go and check out Chris's channel. That sounds interesting, because how weird was that the other night, you and me, Jackie?
Oh, I was going to say something. Well, we were sitting there chatting, and I don't know, it's Iron Dog Week, and so we're sitting there, and both of us were, hanging out, and all of a sudden it was like it was almost like a pixel, like a bright laser light, like just
a traveling light. Traveling.
Yeah.
Up and down and over and around, like bright gold. Because it was like, oh my God, what's that? What's that? And again and again.
Yeah.
And it stopped for a bit, and then it came back, and it was the weirdest thing. It's not traveling like an orb, but not an orb. Just
not an orb at all.
Of it.
Yeah.
Like
and
it was
bright golden light, and like right when Daniela said, I'm going to record this, it stopped. Like we kept watching for it. And
that's all we were doing. We're just staring.
I know.
We weren't really not speaking.
I kept looking around.
Come back. That was so strange. And one even wiggled. One even like a snake shape. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. I would just wish I was recording at the time, but we weren't.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mm.
That too is something that happens out in the field a lot. A lot of the most fantastic stuff is the stuff you don't capture on film, and it's because you've stopped. It's like, okay, I've done about all I can do here. You put your camera away, and then all of a sudden everything just starts rolling. It's like, what in the world was that? And that's why do we have enough out of it? Well, that's why.
And it's always one of those things where if there wasn't someone there with you, it's like, it's hard to believe, It's like,
it really is. It's like Chrissy and I were talking about it. Like because she at first was a guest on my show Friday night, and I told her, I said, I completely get where you're coming from when you say you feel crazy about talking about this. I said a lot of the stuff that's happened to me, when I speak it out loud, sometimes just hearing it coming out of myself, it just sounds crazy. It's like and I told her this is exactly how I said it. I mean, if it sounds crazy to me, how are other people going to perceive it?
Right.
And I got to thinking, man. I said, people need a comfortable place to go, man.
Absolutely.
They do. They do. And, you're creating these places, we've all been creating these places. And
Exactly.
what's interesting is the reason for being there doesn't always have to be the same as everybody else's. It can be so diverse and
Right.
not even paranormal, Sasquatch related. Creating these environments are amazing for anybody who just needs to feel like they can belong somewhere. And there's no judgment, there's no nothing. So it's great to do that, to kind of create those places. And like you say, you get yourself nothing out of it, apart from feeling like you're doing something for somebody. And that's what people don't understand is there's no kind of big reward other than feeling a satisfaction maybe that you've helped someone. But there's definitely no kind of money in it or
Oh
anything like
no.
that.
No.
This goes beyond what people can, money. It's people taking time out to care, basically, and that's what the world needs really everywhere, is people just to care a little bit more. So it's good that you do that.
Yeah.
I've unfortunately run into a few people who were, I don't know, had this delusion, I guess, that there was a lot of money to be made in this, going after so and so and such, and let's catch Bigfoot. I said, like, okay, you good luck with that. I said, I'll be doing this. You can go ahead and do that. You can count me out. Done. No. I've got my evidence. Check out my channel. I've got all I can do. I don't have any track casts or anything like that. I've never done any of that. I've tried my best, and I've talked to a couple of photographers, professional photographers, who when they tell me it's really hard to capture on film, and these guys they don't like digital at all. They actually like doing film. He said, digital's great for some applications, but when you're going out here and filming in nature, you actually get better video quality out of using film. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But when I'm taking pictures of a footprint or something like that, he said it's really hard to convey on film what you're actually seeing with the naked eye.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's this people's expectations of what you're supposed to provide them.
Yeah.
When you're going out looking for Bigfoot, when it's just something that you want to do,
Right.
for yourself, not for a lot of people kind of, putting the money down that someone's going to come up with the Bigfoot evidence of the year. I mean, it's such a long way off that, even if we get the best pictures and the videos, it's like there's still a lot of people out there putting pressure on and kind of spoiling it, I think, for people who just want to enjoy this subject, that don't need to have any answers for people. The search is, like I say, for most people who've experienced it. I can't speak from that experience, but I get from talking to people, this is a question that you have to answer for yourself, that you have to find the answers for yourself.
Right.
And prove to yourself before anybody else. And I can understand why people get put off doing some stuff in this community because of the pressure. And it has to be said, that people in the comments as well that put on people for doing what they're doing, when it's unfair. It does it leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. When people just don't back off and just appreciate that you actually get out there and do your own thing.
Exactly.
It's a shame. There's literally only so much we can do.
Yeah. True. And people expect that it's where it just leads me to believe that people watch way too much TV and let Hollywood just corrupt their mind, because obviously they think that as soon as you step out the woods, you're going to find them. And that's not so. It's just the same thing goes with any type of paranormal activity. You go to a place that's reputably haunted and looking for some type of ghost activity, and you may not have any at all. You may get a ton of it, it's luck of the draw sometimes. And I found with the forest folk here where I'm at, I was out in the woods before I even started filming or anything like that. I was out in the woods probably 6 months beforehand, and I saw nothing. And I was just out there walking the trails, and where I do my research at, there's a lot of hiking trails. It's open to the public. There are people around there all the time. And it's just, it just doesn't always happen the way they think it's going to happen.
You can't plan anything. You can't set up a date with Bigfoot and say, "Hey, meet me in the woods." I'm going to be there with my camera.
Right. Look at how many hunters go out and come back with nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have your good days and your bad days.
These are really unique situations where people are bumping into these things for whatever reason. If we're going to think that they kind of want to stay away from us, then those situations when we bump into them and when they're caught off guard, literally just not got the wits about them. That's what I feel anyway. Or you're walking close to something that's fun, like the kid, babies, whatever they've got, food, I don't know. But yeah, you can't plan these things, and that's the problem. Is you could go out for 6 months, nothing. You could go out for a walk the next day for 2 hours, and you see one. So I don't know. I think stuff like what Kerry's doing, these expeditions where they're going out with a lot of equipment, and a lot of them, and they're really trying to focus on a zone where they know that they're at. You've got a pretty good chance then maybe of doing it, but technology is really, and money is really needed to further this investigation to capture stuff, because it's been tried so many years by people with, doing what they're doing, what they're still doing now.
In my opinion, even with all the equipment that you can have at your disposal, personally, I think time is the most precious commodity, the most valuable resource that you have. Because if you can actually put the time in to get them used to you being there, they're naturally, according to everything that I've ever read and I've experienced myself, their curiosity is the biggest thing that could draw them in. I believe they're very curious. I believe they like to watch us. I believe it's not that hard for them to do that either.
Is that going on you? I'm trying to figure out where that little noise is coming from. Is it you?
Yeah, it's that crinkling noise. Hold on just a second. I think, yeah.
Something's crackling. I'm just going to put these...
Really... Go ahead.
That's fine.
I was saying it's really interesting how many different encounters there are, and what people were doing prior to that. It's always, it seems that it's always caught people off guard. Like no one, I don't know. It seems like the ones that are out there looking for it have already had an encounter that was unexpected.
Exactly. That's one of my running theories also, is that if you've had some type of encounter, whether it be paranormal or UFO or whatever, I think at that point the likelihood of you having another experience goes up exponentially. It started with me early. Just about everybody that gets asked this question, have you ever had any encounter with a ghost? Have you seen a UFO or something like that? And 9 times out of 10, they usually say yes, if they've got the courage to admit it. Sometimes having the courage to just come forward to with that one experience, whether it be Sasquatch encounter, whether it be a ghost encounter, what have you, that was just enough to get them out there. They just had enough courage, just enough fuel in that tank to get out there and tell that story, and they're just not ready to tell anything else yet. And I can completely get that,
Yeah.
Completely.
I have kept putting the link in the live chat. This is Lee's channel, The Ravens Outpost. I'll put a link in now in the live chat, and so everyone go over and go and check his channel out. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe. That's up to you if you want to subscribe. But Lee has got
Right.
some decent stuff, and he's a decent guy. He's a
Thank
good
you.
guy. He's one of the good guys out in
Yeah.
this community, keeping it real. And I think you'll be very interested in his videos and the stuff that he puts out. Let me just put the link in the chat. There you go. So, and while you're doing that, hit the like button, please, guys. We haven't got a lot of likes. No, we not got a lot of likes. Go and hit the like button. So yeah, Sasquatch. Let's talk about you know, the Sasquatch paranormal thing. What do you think's going on? Do you think they're separate things? Do you think things are happening to people because of the situation that they're in, and Bigfoot does something to them to make them feel like they're going? I mean, I know you don't have the answers, but
No,
what do you
no,
think
because it's all
you know?
right. I mean, it's for me, it's all theoretical. I mean, I have my own theories, and this is my theory. It used to be, I thought that one influenced the other. Because I listened to, I don't know if you're familiar with who Stan Gordon is or not. Okay, Stan Gordon did his investigations of UFOs back in the late '60s, early to mid '70s, and when there was that big boom of sightings, right? And he covered, I don't know how many square miles, thousands on thousands of square miles, interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people, and lots of times he said that there would be, after a UFO sighting, there'd be a Sasquatch sighting, or after a Sasquatch sighting, there'd be a UFO sighting, or there'd be some other type of paranormal activity, whether it be poltergeist in nature or what have you. And I used to think maybe that was it, but I'm also thinking maybe, just maybe, that it has to do with the individual themselves. And the reason why I say that is because, and I got to thank Ron Moorhead for these viewpoints, in the science, in the quantum physics part, where you're talking about vibrational frequencies and how everyone resonates at their own vibrational frequency, right? Maybe we're just at that right type of frequency. Something may happen to change it just slightly to where we have that experience, where something allows us to see the full-bodied apparition, or allows us to hear certain things. I don't know. It's just a theory.
No, it's a good theory.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that it's also it goes down to our own. I think it's our own innate ability to have these special abilities, whether it's psychic or not. The government has actually done a test on this, and they released documents. They declassified these documents that they did experiments on psychic abilities and astral projection, telepathy, telekinesis, and so on and so forth. The remote viewing, and they had positive, conclusive results that it was real. There are certain people that have these abilities. And I think that maybe, going along the science, that there's a lot of people, well, most everybody has the potential to have these abilities. I think it's just the right circumstances. And it goes down to the vibrational frequency, I think.
Absolutely. And it seems to bring everybody on their own personal journey of a sort, as regardless of what cryptid or encounter or paranormal event it is, it tends to bring people on a completely different, like there's that term waking people up or whatever, and it keeps getting thrown out there, but it seems to like kind of shake your normal, like if you're fixated on going to work each day and doing the grind and and then all of a sudden something comes out and all of a sudden your form of reality shifts and you can't go back.
No, once the veil's lifted, you can't put it back.
No. Yeah. And
I've run into several people now that I believe are sensitives. They've had experiences, and can pretty much communicate with them. With when I say them, I mean okay, ghosts, okay, spirits. They can communicate with them to some degree, but they don't make a big deal out of it. They're not flaunting it, nothing like that. And they're some of the most sensitive people I've ever met. And it's like, oh well, that's just what happens. I'm like, really? You had these type of encounters, and it's what happens? That's normal for me. I said, hell with that. Excuse me. No. When you're never alone, no. No. I mean, you think about it. Can you imagine? I can't. Just if you're never alone, you never feel alone. There's something always there trying to grab your attention. No, man. No.
I guess if you don't know any different, if you're born with these abilities or it's something that's in you, and then that's how it's always been, isn't it?
Right.
And that's how you function.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating, these different things people have, abilities. It's just so hard to figure out how.
Yeah.
And why, and why aren't we? Why don't we all have it? What makes these people stand out? What do they have? What's happened? I don't know. Sometimes I think a trigger, an emotional scar can really, before the scar it starts to heal, if it ever heals, it cuts something deeper. It opens something up in us that isn't, that you can't touch. And
Right.
I think a lot of people are more, maybe sensitive is probably the word, a word, but you do become more sensitive and you do pick up on more things. So it goes, maybe standard that if you have had a traumatic experience, you are bound to be sensitive enough to who knows what that you can pick up out there, that you just can't see maybe, but you're still picking up on it. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And then to me, that just goes right along with my theory of the vibrational frequency. Like I was talking about how you be all right if something happens and that frequency just gets shifted just a little bit. It's like somebody turns a knob, and all of a sudden you're dialed in. Lots of times I think it seems like it's some type of emotionally traumatic event, like a death in the family, or some type of loss. Usually it's a loss that pushes this person to that realm. And the only other word I know to describe it. But there's other people, like we were just talking about, were born with it and just experience it all the time. The documentary that I made a couple of months ago, the lady that I talked to, she's one of the homeowners, the property owners there, Heather. She's a sensitive. I believe she's to the point where she's actually probably on a medium level, where she could actually communicate with these, but she absolutely tries to cut that off. She's like, nope, I ain't got time for that. I got my life to live. No, But she tells me what's going on, and she's like, well, it happens. That's my reaction. Just look in my face, like, right.
Okay. Yeah, it
Sure.
seems also there's families that have it in their bloodline too. That there's certain people that, and it may skip generations or whatever, but it's in the family line that they've got this connection or whatever, and that's very intriguing too, because there does seem to be quite a few that have that connection too.
Yeah, I don't try and stir away from the science in it. I'm just because I try to relate it to this. If we were to take our technology back maybe 150 years, if you were able to go back 150 years with the smartphone you've got in your hand, they'd label that as magic.
Absolutely.
And if you were able, we could probably, with our limited exposure to technology, actually probably manufacture stuff on our own to get us by because of our rudimentary knowledge of modern technology. If we take it back then and work it, but people would look at us like, he's a wizard, he's a witch, or some other stuff like that because of our knowledge. And what if modern day magic is just science that we're not really familiar with yet?
Absolutely.
We're not familiar with how it works.
There's a lot of what they call occultists, that were hardcore scientists and full on lab, science, with their doctorates and everything. And a lot of them have put everything on the table. Like look at Leary and a few of the others, that have gone out there. But what they discovered in, making that brave step, is so much, because there's a lot of things that we are missing out of. And the more that we get into the quantum physics and start looking at all of this vibration and light and everything, and they say, oh, nothing goes faster than light. Well, they've proven, or nothing, all of these different aspects of science that they thought were solid are starting to break down when you start going into the quantum realm.
Exactly. And it really trips you up when you get into the string theory.
Yes.
It's like, and quantum entanglement and all that stuff. I'm like, okay. So you can have one thing on one end of the universe and one thing on the other, and you can still measure it the same. How? How is that possible?
And they're still equally affected.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you throw in the 100th monkey effect, and and they're starting to tap into that, what they call the universal consciousness, and that's something that they're actively playing with. And
getting a little deep, aren't we, Daniela?
And a little bit deep. But as Larry says here, we don't know what we don't know, and that's it. We don't know. We don't even know what's going on out there, do we? And we don't, because we don't know. And hopefully, maybe it is, like you say, something that will come to us that we're just not quite there yet in terms of science or experiments and stuff like that. Sorry, my voice is.
I understand how that is. I get like that a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, it's... Go on, Jackie.
Oh, I was going to ask you, so what area generally are you researching in, Lee?
I'm in the Blue Ridge Mountains here in Virginia, the Jefferson National Forest, which is, it's pretty rural, I'm about, as a crow flies, I would say probably about 3.5, 4 miles away from any residential area. But it takes about 5 or 6 to get in there by road, right? And I'm in between outlets where I'm on a Forest Service road. You come in one end, go out the other, and I'm right in smack dab in the middle, and I'm studying it probably about 5-6 square miles, really, measuring length and width, and it's pretty wide. It's pretty wide range, and it goes all over. But mostly, I've narrowed it down to right around waterways, where I've seen a lot of my major structures and tracks, and had most of my encounters like right along waterways.
Same here. That's interesting.
If you're familiar with the tree bends, where it looks like a sapling, probably about that big around to maybe that big around, is bent over perfectly. You would think with a bend like that, the bark would break. The bark on the side would split or something, because I used to cut timber for a living for a while, and I've seen how that happens if a big tree falls down and on a smaller sapling, how it will bust the wood, because it bends down with such force, and it'll pin it to the ground. Right, a big tree will pin the smaller one to the ground, and I've seen other saplings about that size. It looks like the top has been pinned to the ground somehow or other, and they're always next to waterways, and I find that very curious, and I don't understand what that is. Is it a form of art? Is it a sign? What is it? I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea.
I find the tree markings very intriguing, only because that was something, and it's still used by mushers in Alaska, and people that are out using these remote trail systems. There's no roads. They're using ATVs, dog sleds, and that kind of stuff to get from village to village out there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, the winter and summer, things look completely, absolutely different. And even forward, a lot of times you'll go into one direction, and if you don't stop and look behind you, when you're coming back, it's easy to get lost because it doesn't look the same.
Exactly.
So a lot of times these marking trees are very important, for routes.
As I was taught that early about blazing a trail.
Yeah.
You usually get both sides of the tree, but get the one you want on the way back. Yeah. Which means you turn around, you pass a big tree, get that one behind you, and look at the surroundings behind you. Stop
and look.
You gotta stop and look. Yeah, absolutely. The chances of you getting lost go down quite a bit if you do that.
Yeah, just every little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You go for so many, how long, and then just stop, turn around, assess the area, make some points. Like just make some notes in your head, and it could save you.
It really could. Now, I was talking about how where I do my research, there's a lot of trails and all like that. Well, I've done my own little experiments out there, and it on the surface it's going to sound a little creepy, but it lends credence to what I've been doing. The fact that I can stand off of a hiking trail no more than 20 feet out in the brush, still be slightly visible, okay? And these people that walk these hiking trails are in their own little world. They're paying attention to the trail. If they're by themselves, they're just straightforward. And that's about as far as their head will turn. A couple of degrees here, a couple of degrees there, and that's it. They won't look over to the side of them. They're not really looking. They're not really paying attention. Now, I can be off about 20 feet off the trail, away from somebody. And I did this accident once, and I tried to repeat the process, and it happened again. They had no idea it was there. I could have been a baddie and done whatever. I could have been a bear and done whatever. At the end of this trail, it's a 7.5 mile long hiking trail, and it comes out at a pond. And they've got their standard big signs up for, in a national forest. And me and my wife were out in that area just the other day. It was last week, actually. And there was a sign posted up there, warning, bear sighting in the area. Bear sighting in the area. I'm like, okay. I wonder how many people actually pay attention to this. And that's when I told her about what I did. She said, Lee, that's creepy. I said, I know it's creepy, but it's true. There could be something right there. No one ever knew it. And how many people I've seen jog the trail, and they've got their earbuds in, their Walkman going, and they're not paying attention about nothing. It's like they're in the city. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're in the city or whether you're in the deep woods like that. You've always got to have situational awareness. You've got to be aware of your surroundings, always, or you are going to be a victim somehow or other. It's just a matter of when. If you gotta keep your head on the swivel while you're out there. And I don't know. Sometimes it's ignorance is bliss.
Yep. Like we go back to that whole thing. Like you can't go back.
No, you can't. You can't. You really can't. No.
What is it? Is it a blessing or is it a curse or is it a bit of both?
A bit of both.
Right.
I'd say a bit of both. There are some people who embrace it, just run with it, and other people, like these sensitive people I was telling you about, they just more or less run from it. But the people who sit down and actually take it for what it is and accept it, and it's just a part of life. They're the ones I admire the most. Chrissy, she's a sensitive. I know she is. Everything that goes on with her, I mean, and she says, well, it is what it is. I'm not really running from it, but I'm not running to it either. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. She's not going out and looking for it, and she's not running from it either. Which is good. I think that's for me personally, I think that's the healthiest way to look at it.
Absolutely. She can ease into it bit by bit as it feels good, right for her.
Right.
The unknown doesn't always have to be scary, does it? The unknown is only scary because it is the unknown. But it's your perspective, isn't it? If you looked at it as an adventure or the next stage or another chapter or however.
Shoot, yeah.
You look at these things. It's just our perspective, isn't it? And I think a lot of people put, a sort of dark side onto these experiences. But I think that's can be based on religion, can't it? Can be based on what you think is
our belief systems.
A belief system.
Yeah.
And I don't always think the two mix. I don't think they mix at all.
No, that's another thing too. When it comes down to religion and faith, and then you have these experiences that shake that up. Your total belief system is turned on its head. It's like I believed all this, and now that's been proven wrong, and it totally upsets your well-being. I mean, that affects you worse than anything.
Yeah.
Some
You're
people.
right. There's a lot of people that have shifted beliefs because of what's happened. Yeah,
Me?
there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it opened up a truth. And to be honest with you, when it happened, and speaking to myself personally, it really it broke my heart to a certain degree, because all of these years I had this belief system, that had been just turned totally upside down. And this is one of these times also that Sasquatch, forest folk, whatever you want to call them, is responsible for that. Because all the other times I've ever had any type of paranormal activity, I could look at it on a spiritual level, right? Bigfoot's entirely different. For me, It's a little of both. I mean, I think I do truly believe it's flesh and blood. I really truly do. But I think there's so much more to these people, so much more, and it's just coming down to not scientific evidence, but eyewitness accounts. You hear so many people, and they, a lot of them, even though they're different, a lot of their stories match up. You take a little bit here and a little bit there, and like, that's the same thing that happened, different circumstance, but basically the same thing, with their mannerisms, the Sasquatch and how they interact with us. It's
also interesting how many people that have actually gotten, casts of these tracks, and they've found either the same track type in a completely different area, or similarities and things that and a lot of people, why are they even wasting their time? There's still a lot to be learned from them. It's not I don't think it's a waste of time.
No.
No. If anyone's got any questions, we've got another 5 minutes to go. I've just put another link up to Lee's channel, The Ravens Outpost. What are you doing? Are you doing anything on there on a regular basis? Is this people can check you out every week?
Yeah. I'd been having problems with my internet for a little while. I got interrupted there, but I was trying to get a live stream out at least twice a week on a Wednesday night and a Friday night. Usually hit it at midnight. If you're so inclined to do it, that way I'm not stomping all over everybody else, because there's a whole list of shows. And because the other night I was on, and Brent and Don were on with Paranormal Portal, and Carrie was on with the Bigfoot Odyssey Late Show, and I'm like, well, I've got a couple people here too. Okay, good, all right. So it's usually at midnight, and I'm trying to figure out a schedule to where I can actually get a couple of daytime ones in. Well, I've got a little time, right around noon, because there's actually some people who are in the UK or other parts of Europe who tune into my show.
Yeah.
Who have to catch it after I go live, and and a couple of them have mentioned that they would like to see me live, but just can't, because when I go live, they're in bed.
Yeah. Tex Tex's Front Porch, he does a breakfast brunch with Bigfoot.
Yes.
Is it a Thursday?
I think so, yeah.
But there's people there. People turn up. There's people around at lunchtime.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's people around all the time.
There are.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's just getting your spot and you kind of like groove with it. But it kind of just develops, doesn't it? It all develops, and you'll find your little spot. Yeah, definitely. Well, look, we're almost done. Tarot, Tuba, Chrissy, I'd like to get in touch with you anyway. Sounds like you've got some interesting stuff going on there.
Indeed, yes. Get in touch with her. She's great.
So once again, I'll put a link in the chat, and I'll leave it in the description as well, so people can go check out Lee's channel. Go over. You just done a little documentary, Terror on the Parkway. This is about a young couple. Just tell us a little bit about that.
I found this out through my nephew, who went to school with the girl Heather, and her husband Matt. They'd moved there maybe about 3 years ago, and they started having activity, and they run the gambit. Strange lights, flashes of light in their house, other types of paranormal activity, Bigfoot activity, wood knocks, and that strange, eerie silence. And the worst of all, what makes it the Terror on the Parkway, is the animal mutilations.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I had to deal with that. It was pretty rough. I've got pictures up of that. So just a little warning there.
Yeah.
It's a little graphic. But a total exsanguination of, the poor animals.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
I
don't know what did it. I draw my own conclusions to, there was Bigfoot activity in the area. Yeah, but did they do it? I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, that documentary's on your page, on the front of your YouTube channel. So, guys, go and check Lee's channel out. Go and give him a sub. Go and see what he's doing. Just want to give a quick shout out to Aaron Lambert, everyone, to send prayers and thoughts and love to Aaron. He's lost his dad, I think, these last couple of weeks. Lost someone very close to him.
I'm sorry to hear that.
He would appreciate. He's been getting a lot of support in the group, but I just wanted to give you a shout out there, Aaron. And I'm sorry you've been going through that. Lee, thanks very much for coming on.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's been a long
Thanks,
time.
Jackie.
So we should do it a bit more often and maybe get together on Hidden Existence and
absolutely
get into it all a little bit more. Guys, on Tuesday night, we're having Drawing Bigfoot, and Lenita will be here
all right.
to share her description. I mean, she's seen quite a few, but she's got one in mind that she's going to describe to Larry. So I think that's going to be a very interesting one. She was on Bigfoot Odyssey quite a few weeks back when D.A. Roberts was on. But I'm all sure she's in the chat tonight. Everybody knows Lenita. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, we'll be on the Researchers Report or Wednesday Encounters on Wednesday night. But in 15 minutes, something really exciting. I'm going to be on Hidden Existence. If anybody wants to come over,
absolutely.
Keep me and Jason company. It's going to be in 15 minutes' time. It'd be great to see any of you guys. If you've got nothing better to do, come and join us on Hidden Existence.
I'll be there.
Oh, cool. We're gonna have a good time then. Cool. So thanks to everybody who's turned up. Thanks for all your comments and everything. Really appreciate it. If you do want to help the channel, please give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. And the same over at Lee's channel and Iron Dog's channel and my channel. Help support these channels. That's all you need to do. Thumbs up, comments, and we really appreciate it. Until the next time, everyone. Well, hopefully in 15 minutes, I'll see you all on Hidden Existence.
See ya.
Good night.
Good night.